Welcome to this week's edition of the Q1 Buck Pull. I'm Tim Hart-Haverhill. He's Mike, Big Buck Hoffner, and I would like to say Big Buck has scored again.
Successful Big Buck Hoffner. I'll tell you what,
Don't give me the whole story right now.
I won't give you the story. I went dry last year, but I come through again this year.
All right, we have Bucks this week. We got Mike's Hunt on this week. We've got the DNR. They're going to be talking about compounds and crossbows. Then we also have Mark Curley from Hicks Outdoors up in Clio, and he's going to talk about maintaining your crossbow because a lot of people don't do it quite right. And then we got Tony LaPratte with us, and he's going to be talking about the breeding period and the rut.
That's my favorite time to be in the woods.
Absolutely, because the deer are running. They were running for Big Buck Hoffner. We'll have his story and all this stuff coming up. You're watching the Q1 Buck Poll.
Country Smokehouse was started years ago by myself and Suzanne, and we want to specialize in homemade, old-fashioned sausage and jerkies and things like that. People say it's a destination. They come out for the barbecue. They come out for the homemade sausages. A lot of organic people, natural people want to buy the product because they can't find it in the local stores. We are the largest processor in the state of Michigan. We invite all hunters to come in, bring your deer in, or just stop in and check us out so you can see yourself.
I recommend you come to the Country Smokehouse because you'll never be disappointed.
Trophy Class Real Estate specializes in listing and selling unique recreational hunting land and vacant land properties.
Hi, I'm Dan Hoffman. We're the premier real estate brokerage firm for Cabela's Trophy Properties in Michigan. If you're looking to buy, we have great properties like this one.
Here's 24 acres of vacant land and waterfront in Calhoun County. The property includes your very own 7-acre buildable island. There's great whitetail deer hunting and fishing. Own a one-of-a-kind piece of property.
Call us today or go online to see all of our properties.
When a hunter graduates from my new Super Whitetail Boot Camp, he will be in the top 1% of the deer hunters in the country. There's hundreds of little things people need to know to really have the ultimate property. I come in and show people how to put all the right pieces of the puzzle in that property, to hold deer, get more born on the property, make them come by the stands, keep them from the neighbors during daylight hours. I'm Tony LaPratte from Ultimate Land Management, and I'm inviting you to our new Super Whitetail Boot Camp.
Back here on the Q1 Buck Pull, and we've got bucks this week. And if you go online to q1buckpull.com, you can see all the deer that have been registered in the contest so far. The deer are coming in, people are having success, but then there's certain pockets in the state where they're like, I'm not seeing anything.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, we've got some deer coming in right now, and I know South Central Michigan, we'll start out with them. Yeah. They have 3 in a row. So up in the South Central region, we have Brandon Hill's 12-pointer, scores 46.375. Gavin Cole, again from South Central Michigan, brings in a 10-pointer, the score 38.25. And Mike Tesh from South Central, 8-pointer, the score 36.5.
Lives down the road from me.
Hey, we got it happening in Branch County.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about it happening right now. And, you know, I didn't make it out hunting on Sunday, and Big Buck Hoffner had some success a few weeks ago, and let me hear the story, man.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I was in a wedding in Louisville, and I was on my way back, and I hadn't hunted in a week since the last time you and I were out. So, I mean, I got back, my neighbor Jamie Engel, he's the assistant principal over at Quincy, said, hey, Mike, let's go out, let's give it a shot. And the neat thing about it is I've been out, and I've passed 5 times on bucks, but everything I've been seeing has been small. Mm-hmm. But I know the bucks are out there because on our trail cams, especially on Jamie's trail camera, he brought me the discs, and he said there's a couple big ones that are out there. So we've seen it on camera. camera, but neither one of us have physically seen the deer. It's amazing because you have phones, and we're texting each other back and forth, and he tells me about this deer that he's seen in his area, and he says, Mike, it's a nice sized buck. It looks like he's headed your direction. So I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I look up, and there's two trails. They kind of fork out in front of me. One goes right by my tree. The other one goes a little outside of my tree, about 20 yards, and there's two does come meandering down that trail, and they go out, and they're standing out there about 20-25 feet just past me. And so as deer hunting will have, it's a pre-rut. All of a sudden, I hear the old grunting noise. I hear a couple of grunts coming from this buck back in the brush. So I look back there, and I'm looking back there saying, no, there's a buck coming, because you can hear the noise that he's making. All of a sudden, I look up. That's all I see is a huge-bodied deer with a really nice rack. He comes right directly beneath my tree. We were so close, I swear to God, the thing could hear my heart beating. It was that close. And so, I'm excited. The deers, and the wind couldn't have worked any better. And the wind was coming out of the west. It was going right by me to my backside, and he was in the front of me. But as big bucks do, he knew something was up in Denmark. And so he's looking left, he's looking right. Something doesn't sound right. I got my backpack at the base of my tree. He's 2 feet from my backpack, so you knew he had to smell something. So all of a sudden, he busts out of there and does a semicircle and goes right on the other trail like he's going to head out. And as luck would have it, I got, again, about a tree that's 10 feet tall, real brushy tree that kept me well protected at that low standing area. He goes right past that brushy tree, and the only spot on the trail that he could stop where I'd have a shot was right where I wanted him to stop. Put the old pin on him, let the arrow fly, whack, hits him right in the vitals, and it was kind of cool. And I knew as soon as I hit it, he was in big trouble because, it's graphic, folks, but I saw a squirt, like a squirt gun of blood that went about 1.5 feet outside that deer and bust into the brush between me and Jamie, and you hear crash, crash, crash in about 2 seconds and stop. And I knew that deer was down.
And let me tell you this. So here's what Big Buck Hafner had to say to me on camera.
Big Timmy, you missed the wrong night to go film with me. It was an excellent night tonight. Shot a dandy. This is a big-bodied deer. I'll bet you the body at least weighs 195 on this rascal. Q1 buck pull, scores again.
Okay, so I did get a chance to go with you, but we are going to be going out. And this time, we'll get all the action on camera.
Yeah, well, I'm hoping we can get another big buck to cooperate.
Absolutely.
It's exciting. I've been hunting for 39 years, and actually last year was the first year that I did not get a buck with my bow because I passed. And as you get older, I've started to pass a lot of deer. And so when one comes by like this, it's a shooter. I took it, and I feel good that my string's back intact. So now if I can go for another 39, Tim, I'm in business.
Well, I'd like to see that. We'd have to get some kind of wheelchair out there, I believe, on the 39th year of that.
Or a lift, something for
Whatever
me.
works. Anyway, Big Buck Hafner's story this year, it was a great one. Stay with us when we come back. We got more bucks. We got the DNR talking about compound and crossbows. We've got Mark Curley going to talk about how to maintain your crossbow. We got all that. And Tony LaPratt later on. You're watching the Q1 Buck Poll.
At Outfitters Taxidermy, I do high-quality work at reasonable prices. We do it all at Outfitters Taxidermy, from birds, small mammals, fish, deer, shoulder mounts, full-body mounts. I pay attention to the details of the mount, like your eyes, the nose, and the way the horns are set. Make sure the measurement's all correct, just like it is when you brought it in. If you're not sure how to cape your deer, I can do it for you, show you how to do it, where to make cuts, where not to make cuts. When you shoot that buck of a lifetime, give me a call at Outfitters Taxidermy.
Hunting, fishing, trapping, Frank's Sporting Goods in Morley.
We got the biggest selection of trapping supplies in West Michigan and the experience to go along with it, so we can teach you how to do everything right here on the spot.
Long guns and handguns for any application, and expert service from someone who lives the outdoors.
Don't forget, we got a great selection of ammo.
You'll find it all at Frank's Sporting Goods in Morley. Stop in or call Frank's Sporting Goods in Morley for the best deals around.
Hi, my name is Vic Havens, and we invite you to stop here at Frank's Sporting Goods in Morley, Michigan.
Get your boots on at Backroad Saloon, the area's #1 country music entertainment, featuring a spacious 5,000 square foot dance floor catered to line dancing. Backroad Saloon, where there's live music on the weekends and special guests. Join us November 13th for Ty Herndon, and then on November 20th it's Jamie O'Neill. And don't forget our New Year's Eve bash. Get your tickets now. Backroad Saloon, the Nashville of the North, the area's #1 country music venue.
Well, we got bucks to show you here on the Q1 Buck Poll. And remember, you can always go to Q1BuckPoll.com to take a look at all the deer that have been registered in the contest. We count the number of points on each side, the inside spread, the mass around the base, and then the longest tine, and that's how they're ranked and scored. And Big Buck, you got some bucks to show them.
Yep, speaking of bucks, here we go. Let's go right up to the thumb area where Brian Storm shoots an 8-pointer. The score was 38 3/4. In mid-Michigan, Drayton Dowland's 10-pointer scores 40 3/4, and Ryan Johnson in South Central Michigan brings in a 14-pointer with a nice score of 44.
Nice is right. That's a good score. All right, well, we talk to the DNR each and every week, and this week we're going to talk to one of the COs talking about compound and crossbows. And, there's a lot of people, well, I'd never shoot a crossbow, and others that I have to shoot a crossbow because I'm getting older and all that. But there's a lot of younger people out there shooting crossbows, and, of course, compounds are out there, and that's your choice.
Yeah, well, in my family, that's a classic example. I mean, I've hunted my whole life. My kids have been in college and working on their doctorate degrees and didn't have the time to pick up bow hunting. So it's kind of nice when they come home because I use my compound bow, and guess what? Darton's been good to us. We've got 2 crossbows, and when my kids come to visit, they use that crossbow. It's pretty simple. Within 5 minutes, I got them out there just like shooting a gun. They put the scope on the item, they pull the trigger, and away we go. But caring for them's all another thing, too.
Compounds and crossbows with the DNR. I'm now talking with Dennis Fox. He's the recruitment and retention manager for the DNR. Dennis, welcome to the Q1 Buck Poll.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, well, today we're going to talk about bows, compound and crossbows, some of the differences and some of the things that you should look at when you're getting ready to buy. And Dennis, we're going to start with compound bows here today.
Okay. The first thing that you want to look at with the compound bow, if you're just getting into it, is the draw length, because that's the most important thing. And when we talk about draw length, it's the length of when you pull it back to when it ends. And so you're going to try to anchor it in your corner of your mouth, or if you've got a release, you're going to have a consistent anchor point. And so having that proper draw length is the most important thing. And then when you're looking at the other important aspects is the weight, the actual physical weight of the equipment, so you make sure that you're comfortable carrying it. The poundage, and so let's say it's a 65-pound bow, there's going to be a let off with the cables and the cams, and that'll let off to a certain amount. When you get to a certain point, it'll just break and it'll make it easy. But you want to make sure that you can pull it back and you're comfortable and you're not shaking like crazy because the draw is too heavy, and so that you can get a good shot on that animal that you're shooting.
Well, and that always is, the higher the poundage, better for the person. Exactly. Everybody's unique. I shoot a little bit lower poundage just because, I like it easy to come back, and I know that I can put that right on target and I'm good to go.
Exactly. That's a great point. Now, if you're working with youth, they have the manufacturers have a lot of great equipment out there that can be fit to the youth. It's important to make sure that you don't get too large of equipment and too heavy of equipment, because they just won't be able to handle it as good. Particularly with the the compound bows, you really can't hold it for them, and you can't put it on a rest like a gun or a crossbow, and so they have to handle it themselves by and large. Probably the best tip, though, is to go to a archery shop and work with the professionals and the staff that they have. They'll be able to help you get fitted properly. They'll probably even let you shoot some of the different types of brands and models, and so that you can get a really good feel for what you like, what feels good. The draw length, they'll help you with the draw length. They'll help you with, selecting the arrows and the right size arrows, and they're a great resource in Michigan.
Because you get all types of, grain weights when it comes to arrows too, and then you got your broadhead, and there's a lot of different factors that go along with making that proper shot and not injuring an animal, but taking that animal.
Yes. Typically with your compound bows, you're going to have the 2 types. You're going to have the carbon arrow type, and then you're going to have the aluminum. And so making a decision on what type of arrow you want to use, is an important aspect of it. And
Which one do you like? You like carbon or aluminum?
I like carbon.
Yeah, I do too. They last longer for me.
Now, if you're shooting a recurve or a longbow or something like that, a lot of those shooters use the cedar shafts.
Right.
So that's another option too. If you want to go that route.
Step back in time.
Exactly.
How's that?
Another thing to consider is your feathers or your vanes. The vanes are the plastic guidance system for the arrow. You really have the choice of whether or not you want the feather types or if you want the solid plastic.
All right, now we're going to step forward in time, and crossbows is what we're going to talk about right now. This is something that you have changed over from compound to crossbow. Why?
I shot the compound for probably 20 years, and I switched over to the crossbow because my youngest son, got old enough where he could start archery hunting. And I knew he was going to grow a lot, and so for me it was a financial decision where I decided to go with a crossbow because I figured he was going to outgrow 2 or 3 of the compounds just for the draw length and the weight. And so I thought just purely for a financial aspect of it, I would start him with a crossbow, yet keep him familiarized with the compound, so when he finished growing, he could make his own decision.
What are some of the things I should consider when buying a crossbow?
Your basic design of the crossbow is pretty standard with the limbs and the cables and the strings. Some of the things that you're going to want to consider are the grips.
Okay.
And the length of the stock to make sure it fits. What's really nice is the manufacturers are producing or making stocks that can collapse and expand. So that issue's not so much. If you want a scope, what type of scope do you want? Do you want a red dot? Do you want one with the lines and the sights? And then also you have the option of whether or not you want to use the pull cables, to cock the crossbow. Or some other models have the crank where it'll pull the string back and lock it in place. And even more recently, they've come up with the push buttons where you just push a button and it'll pull it back for you.
Kind of making it easy for you to get out in the woods.
And again, with the crossbows, you really want to go to your archery shop and try out a couple different models, and see what fits good for you, what the weight is and whether or not you can handle it. And just try some out. Yeah. It's kind of like a pair of shoes.
Well, again, because every model is a little different. Every model has a little different feel. And, when you go to the archer shops to try them out, that's going to give you the best, really the best insight of what you're buying and is it going to fit you. Because, again, a lot of people are going to crossbows. Now, restrictions for shooting crossbows, December is out, right?
In the Upper Peninsula, in the Lower Peninsula, they can use it in the late antlerless seasons and during the muzzleloading seasons if they want to also.
All right, so get out in the woods. That's our main thing to talk about today. Get out in the woods, have some fun, do some great deer hunting. Be safe when you're out there, whether you choose a compound or a crossbow. Do it right.
Great.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right,
Thank
Dennis,
you.
thanks for being with us. Dennis Fox here with the DNR. I'm Tim Hart, and you're watching the Q1 Buckbow. Now here's Mark Curley from Hicks Outdoors in Clio talking about how you maintain your strings on the crossbow.
Hey, this is Mark from Hicks Outdoors. We've got a tech tip for you here about proper rail lube application and string wax of your crossbow. Too many times we see guys come in with way too much rail lube or wax on the rail. What we like to see you do is use a nice light oil. This one from 10 Point works extremely well. Take just a couple dots on each side of the rail and wipe it on with your finger back and forth. Less is more when it comes to rail lube. We see guys come in with way too much rail lube on and it tends to gum up the trigger. We have a lot of trigger replacements going on because of way too much wax or rail lube gummed up in the trigger. As far as for waxing of the string, this is a silicone-based string wax. Only wax where there is no serving. Do not wax the center serving on any of these crossbows. That's another way to gum up your trigger. So just keep it on the string, rub it in with your fingers. 2 to 3 times per season would be sufficient on this. And that's all you need to properly wax your string, and that's your tech tip of the week.
Well, great information. And Mike, on today's show, we have a lot of information. Coming up, we've got the breeding period and the rut with Tony LaPratte. So compounds and crossbows, we're heading to the woods, aren't we?
Yeah, we've done it all, and like I said, it's made deer hunting, so much better during the archery season. I mean, for years and years, we did not have the crossbow rule in Michigan. I think it's a great law. Especially as I'm getting older, it's getting harder for me to pull that bow back. You get shoulder problems, all kinds of things. And I talked to a lot of my friends that are into the crossbow scene, and I think it's a good way to go.
All right, when we come back, Tony LaPratte will talk with us again about the breeding period and the rut. He's with Ultimate Land Management and the Whitetail Boot Camp. You're watching the Q1 Buckbow.
Everything for the sportsman.
DNR Sports Center.
For the hunter. Tree stands, bows, guns, and gear. All the top brands.
Right here at DNR Sports Center.
For the fisherman. Check out the huge selection of boats, marine supplies, and tackle.
DNR Sports Center.
Full service mechanic for boats, guns, and bows. One-stop shopping, a huge selection, and the best service around.
Come see for yourself and experience the personal service at DNR Sports Center. Everything for the sportsman.
Add style to your bedroom or living room with log furniture from Thurston's Furniture. One-of-a-kind log bedroom sets, dressers, mirrors, easy beds that convert from a couch to a bed. Specializing in custom orders, Thurston's offers a great selection to choose from. Plus, check out our Northwoods Wildlife Print area rugs. Want a camo recliner? You'll find it at Thurston's. Thurston's Furniture on M60 in Homer. Everything you want in log furnishings at great prices.
The great outdoors has a lot to offer, and if you're ready to experience it on the next level, Greenstone can help you get it done. We finance acreage of nearly any size, from a hunter's haven to adventurous trails, or even that relaxing place on the lake. Greenstone's loan options make owning land affordable, with terms up to 30 years. And with 36 locations in Michigan and Northeast Wisconsin, we're just a short drive away. To learn more, visit greenstonefcs.com. Greenstone Farm Credit Services. We finance the great outdoors.
Again, we remind you that you can register a buck or a doe in the Q1 buck poll. We're giving away a Yamaha Grizzly 350 ATV, and I'm going to do a little interview on that coming up with Custom Connection Motorsports. You can also check that out on Facebook. So we're going to show you what you can win, but you got to get registered.
And not only the ATV, but there's lots of other prizes. So register, get out there, win some of them.
Hey, we got some featured bucks here, and here's Big Buck Hoffner.
All right, let's start out in southwest mid-Michigan with Chris Bellwood's 8-pointer. The score was 42.5. Nick Lucas, also in the southwest mid-region with an 8-pointer. The score is 37. And Austin Ware, south mid-Michigan's 12-pointer, Tim, scores 51.
We're starting to get the big bucks in. Well, Tony LaPratt is with us each and every week. He's with Ultimate Land Management and the Whitetail Boot Camp. Here's somebody who lives, breathes, eats. I mean, it's all about the outdoors, and it's all about deer and having success out there. Today he's talking about the breeding period and the rut.
I'll tell you what, you talk to any hunter, favorite time to be out in the woods. The deer are on the move. It's an exciting time, and that's the time to catch those big one with their senses down, and then you get a chance to score the buck of a lifetime.
How can you have success? Here's Tony.
Okay, now we're going to look at the breeding period, or most people just call it the rut. Now, let's look at the farms again. Now, on farm A, here's the route of this buck during the rut. You could kill him on farm A, B, C, and D. You have a chance at the buck in every one of these. And actually, farm D hasn't been good, and during the rut, farm D actually now has a little bit of an edge. Because let me explain something. When the buck hooks up with the doe to breed her, she don't want to be around the other does. So she wants to go to an isolated spot. The buck doesn't want her to be around any competition and other bucks. So what they like to do, a lot of times guys are driving down the road and they see a buck and a doe, this big old buck laying right in the middle of a cornfield where you'd never see a deer again. What it is they go to these odd spots to lay and be away from everybody. So during the rut, farm D, that swell hole would be an excellent choice. So it actually has a little edge over A, B, and C in a lot of locations. Okay? But every one of these are equal spots. Now, let's look at what's going on during the rut and all that. So now, during the rut, okay, he's totally interested in does, and guys like me that really understand deer, we just really don't like the rut. And everybody in the world writes, it's rut time. That's what I want to hunt. Well, when I understand deer, where they bed and come and go during the rut, I don't know what doe came into heat. So it's the only time I have to do a lot of guessing. Now, his travel is totally unpredictable because we don't know what doe came into heat last night, whether it's on your farm or the neighbors. Signs are not important. Look how the rubs from basically from November 11th through the 20th, only 6%. So here it was going along, and during the scrape period, it goes up to 45%. Most rubs and scrapes are made like that. And then as soon as the breeding season starts, it just drops right off, the scrapes and the rubs. So it goes flat and starts climbing, and then it climbs, and then it starts to drop already. And that's what's happening. High intersection is hot spots. So again, staging areas, any place where lots of doe groups, a major food source off of it a little ways, will be a hot spot. travels, you want to actually, now you ain't worrying about the scrape lines and rub lines. That's the bucks travel. Now all the bucks are with the girls, so now you should have been keeping track of how the does are moving, and now you want to be setting up on them runs and them food sources, because that's where the buck will be. He's trailing the does. First big wave of does to enter estrus are your 2.5 and older, and you will actually can get 3 different ruts. Okay, about 28 days later, any doe that didn't get bred will recycle. And in southern Michigan, like on my property, the fawns that were born in May will literally cycle and be bred yet this year. Now, that would never happen in northern Michigan. UP will never see that happen. This is when the soil, the nutrients in the soil, they got bred at the right time. These doe fawns will cycle. So you actually get a 3rd rut during late December. Breeding rubs. You will start seeing these monster rubs tore up, because the rubs that he does make, he's stuck in a little spot with the doe, and meantime, while he's waiting for her to let him breed, he will tear things up, and they're always shredded, bigger in size, because he's the dominant buck. Now, the beginning point of the breeding, or the rut, is basically when the first big wave of does enter estrus. It changes overnight. And hunting strategies at this time, you should be hunting all day. Guys, if there's a time to sit in your stand all day, because you don't know. And guys, if you came to my whitetail boot camp and you seen my whole wall full of big bucks, I got 42 of them. Between me and my buddy Chris, we've taken 64 big bucks. If we took all the deer off the wall that were killed from 10 o'clock to 2, we'd lose most of the wall. Okay, during the breeding period, for your stand location and hunting strategy, you should be hunting where all the doe groups are feeding. Any place there's a pinch point that merges these girls through a small area is where you're going to want to hunt. And you don't want to forget about them out-of-way spots that this time could be very good. A pothole out in a field, a heavy fence row is worth setting a stand up and spending a day on, because these big bucks cruise past them places and they take them does to them isolated areas. So that should be your strategy during the rut.
Did you know that Tire City is more than just tires? Marshall Tire, Albion Tire, and Charlotte Tire are all more than just tires at great prices. We're your complete auto repair center. We're brakes, oil changes, steering and suspension, diagnostics. We're more than just tires. We're your complete auto repair facility. Tire City, Marshall, Albion, and Charlotte.
Coldwater Gun and Pawn, your concealed weapon headquarters. Buy, sell, trade. We do volume so you have selection with new guns arriving daily. Need ammo at the best prices around? Stop into Coldwater Gun and Pawn. Plus, we pay cash for guns or anything of value, including gold and silver, where we pay the highest prices in southern Michigan. Plus, we have DVDs, guitars, gifts, and more. Long guns or handguns, come see our selection today at Coldwater Gun and Pawn.
Great information. We wish you luck when you're out in the woods. Big Buck's already had some luck. Wish us luck when Big Buck and I are out there, because I need to get that on camera.
Now, we got one more buck to go, but guess what, Timmy? The heat's on, because we don't shoot the little one, so it's got to be bigger than what we just shot. So we've got the pressure on us. Maybe we can perform.
The pressure from the Big Buck offer. How about that? All right.
Filming's easy. The shooting part's the difficult part.
Absolutely wrong. He's Mike Big Buck Hoffner. I'm Tim Hart-Haberl. Thanks for being with us this week on the Q1 Buck Bowl. Remember, whenever you're out in the woods, be safe.
Great country for Kalamazoo. Find us on your radio at 102.5, online at greatcountry1025.com, and on your mobile device on iHeartRadio. Kalamazoo's Great Country 1025, powered by Nash.